Welcome to Common Sense Podcast, where we apply common sense to everyday topics. So, the power of saying no.
That sounds very Christian, the power of saying no.
Or the art of saying no.
That's what I would see.
Okay, the art.
That sounds very.
Okay.
That sounds very motivational speak. The power
of saying no, the art of saying no.
Just shake your head left to right. No.
Is that simple and is that easy?
Very easy. Jude, do you want more food?
But do you know what it is, right? I think it's when you have certain personality traits where it makes it difficult for you to say no.
Really?
As a recovering people pleaser, I'm still in recovery.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still recovering.
I am really proud of you saying that, because people don't agree that they seek that external validation being people pleasing. They might not know what it is.
Yeah.
But you do set out to please people in your professional life and your personal life as well. A lot of people don't realize that. And I think I was somebody like that before. Mm-hmm. What I was seeking, I really don't know. It was later on I thought, I don't really give a BS. I don't care no more.
I think it comes with age,
and
though.
burn bridges. Yes.
Because
the older the wine,
yeah, I think
better the taste, isn't it?
Because from my perspective, right? Purely because I honestly, and this is something that I've just had to realize, okay, this is who I am. I derive joy from making the people that I love happy. Mm-hmm. And part of that also manifests itself in that if you ask me, can you do X, Y, Z, even if it's an inconvenience for myself, because I know that will make you happy, I will do it because I love you. And it's great, right, when you have people around you who are also like that. But I think the danger of that is if you get somebody who wants to exploit that, then you're absolutely
so you're open for exploitation.
Exactly.
I read somewhere, it's quite reflective, I guess many would find this unpopular opinion too, that there was a selfishness in people who get joy from making others smile, because often it's a gratification that we feel inside, like an endorphin that sets us alight. That it's like buying someone something nice or doing something. I get the buzz of making them smile. So it feels like it's from a pure place. On the flip side, sometimes that in itself can be a latch, because it makes you feel, gives you a buzz. And I didn't think it was anything wrong with that, but when I looked at how this individual psychologicalized it, I was like, that's interesting. Because often, I guess if we were neutral, if we didn't feel good about doing it, it would be different. Yeah. But we get an endorphin rush in that, in itself. And often, if it's not appreciated, we feel a way about that. Why? Because it was attached to something.
I guess it's just a human.
But I've never, I get what you're trying to, but I've never felt like if I genuinely do something for you, and because I'm the type of person whereby I do something, I do it genuinely from my heart. It's never because I expect X, Y, Z in response or whatever.
You don't anticipate appreciation.
No.
So they don't give a rat's ass, you keep doing it.
But you started with you derive joy.
No.
You started
because if I love you, honestly.
So you do all this for me, and I show zero.
No, but you started with you derived joy.
Yeah.
From that's the same thing she's saying. So deriving the joy.
Yeah.
So if I show you that no matter what you do, I don't even say thank you. You're so pure with your intention, you don't care. You keep doing it.
When you say that, you're never gonna say thank you or anything,
because you're doing it from your heart. You don't need me to say anything. So it's like, remember, this is where unconditional comes in. I don't subscribe to unconditional in terms of love. I'll just put that there.
Oh, you don't subscribe to unconditional love?
Let me tell you why.
Even with a you didn't let me land. Even from a parental perspective.
No.
Interesting. Okay.
No.
I just wanted to know.
There's conditions in one of that. The Bible said honor the father and the mother.
There's conditions.
For your days to be long. And he also told father and mother to not upset their children. So there's conditions.
Let's go back on that.
Yeah.
Even though as a mother, if we're going to say, do I love no matter what? I cannot like, but I can love. My own son may not like some of my ways, but he loves me.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Cool.
Yeah.
Conditions, and I have to drop this, even though it's a side note. I do not subscribe to unconditional. Because even if you want to be biblical, it comes with conditions. He may love you, but apparently to get into the kingdom of heaven is a condition.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So how much more? Let's get into it.
You gotta accept Christ.
How much
to get to
more
heaven. That's
us?
the condition.
Who are
That's
mere
true.
mortals?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
No. I get what
Absolutely
you're saying.
spot
All
on.
I've known has been, if you don't do this, you go to hell. Yeah? It's
Yeah.
always been a condition. So me, as a circular woman, spiritual but living circular, yeah? You want to say un-Christ-like if you want to say, yeah? To the book.
Okay.
Hang on, wait. Let me, as you said, let me land.
Okay.
Yeah. If I look at it, even though it's not about unconditional love, I add that because we, whether we are conscious about it or not, we set an unspoken condition. That's why we always say, oh, the person's so ungrateful, I stopped doing this. Because internally, even if you don't want a bed of roses for what you've done, if I show you absolute no regard for what you've done, at some point, it's going to expire.
Okay.
Because it's not even been acknowledged that you're doing that. It's a big deal to you, not to me, for an example. Yeah? So why I say I don't subscribe to unconditional is because if you look at your phone contract,
Yeah.
okay, it comes with a boundary.
Of course.
You can use your phone as you like, but there's a boundary. You have to pay.
There might be gigabytes.
Either you top up or
Yeah.
you have a contract.
Yeah.
So when I look at, I'm a realist like Judah would say he is. When I look at that, everything about whether it's friendship, familyship, love, whatever it is, there must be a condition. Because I talk about respect. I talk about boundaries. So clearly I don't give unconditionally.
Yeah.
I may not have, if I do something for you.
I don't expect anything back in return.
Well, I do.
What's
even
that?
Even if it's courtesy.
Okay, fair.
Yeah?
But-
I don't play.
No,
yeah?
no. I get the courtesy
You don't
for
have
it.
to give me, oh my God, whoop hooray.
No. I
But
think
common courtesy. Well, okay, let's get back on track then. As a boundary person, someone can call it barrier, whatever word you're going to call it. I feel like in this climate we're in, the word I love to use, I can't live on this planet Earth without boundary. We're not built a certain way, us human beings. We've gone too far with selfishness as well.
Yeah.
So when I look at, as we talk about the power or the art of saying no, I've become extremely comfortable. The battle sometimes was, saying no to a family member who you're close to. But I've become very comfortable saying no and saying, I need to pour into my own cup today.
Yeah.
Just no. Why? People don't give a rat's ass when it comes to them doing what they want to do. I've noticed that. So sometimes the guilt, where does our guilt come from? Jude? Where does this feeling of, I can't say no, and where do you think it stems from?
It's you earlier conversations you talk about culture and all of that, and society. It comes from society. Okay. The saying no, we think we've been built up in a way that, we've been schooled in a way that it offends people, and also spot on because we people please. We cannot say no to our bosses at work, even when we're pressured. We cannot say no to our spouses. We cannot say no to friends or people back home if they ask for money, even to our detriment when we don't have it. People put on, it's also about keeping up with the Joneses. People are adding a WhatsApp group, donating money for people. We can't say no, we don't want to be part of this. It's also that we lie to ourselves as well. No, saying no is very powerful. But let me go straight to the boss's one. Your boss says, can you please write one more report? This is the way they do it subtly. They say, your past report was really good. I don't like the report that one did. You see, they slighted someone in front of you, your ego. So it's about your ego bruising. Your ego just went, ooh! They like my report, so you're going to do to your detriment, do your report, but they're taking advantage of you. But if you are, where does that stop? That's the problem. It's also with your spouse, with your partners, with your family, friends. Where does that stop? And people, like Silver said, they are sinister, including myself. We have the abilities to be very sinister, to do all those things. We take advantage of people.
I mean, yeah.
Go to him, go to that one, go to that one. They can't tell you no.
No, yeah.
And that includes the spouse you live with. They don't take no for an answer. Can we have this in the house? I don't have money. You always say you don't have money. You're always negative. It's always we don't have. I really don't have. Because this month, we've already carved out the money we'll pay bills with. But the guilt trip you. You don't always have. And you feel guilt and feel like, oh gosh, let me just do it. And that's your children too. Your children can guilt trip you. And there's a lot of trainings out there psychologically how to overcome those. But it's just the human thing. We have egos. We want our egos
Can I
massaged.
tell you what made it easier for me to start saying no from some years ago?
What is it?
And it's not, let me just make this very clear. There are some very, very rare occasions where I feel it. The battle may begin, but I totally ignore it. And let me tell you, one day I said to myself, you said to your detriment, one day I said to myself, I either have to suffer or you do. Imagine always saying yes most of the time. But you silently suffer. Some people actually resent, oh my God, Silva, I didn't really want to go, but I told him I would come. Oh God, I can't wait for this night to be over. I looked at the conversation that takes place of us behind the scenes of friends or even family when you don't want to say yes. And actually, kind of two-faced. Kind of like,
it is
I don't
what it
like
is.
the fact that you've told your friend, oh God, I don't really want to go to Silva's, but how do I tell her no? Hi, Silva! I'd rather you just say, babes, I'm pouring into my own cup tonight. Toodles.
But you know what? Can I say something?
Yeah.
Silva. I think from, of course we had conversations, and I will say that you're very good at exercising a boundary and maintaining a boundary and being able to say,
oh girl, you know I do.
At this point, like, I don't have capacity to deal with X, Y, Z. I'll speak to you over the weekend, or I'll speak to you at X time. I think you're very good at that.
Oh
But for a lot of people, that's a huge struggle.
It is.
But it took me a while to articulate it in
and
a
I think
certain way.
also, I'm just going to bring in from culturally, right? From a cultural perspective, I'm going to bring it in. And I would say being raised in an African household, you are raised, right?
Yeah.
For us to be honest, your elders are always right. Everything they say, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, like, it's literally, that's how you're raised. And if, for instance, you know that's how you're raised, you know that's how you've been. If even when an elder is wrong, you don't challenge them. You it's just a yes. You're basically a yes man. That's how culturally a lot of Africans raise their children.
Now learn how to say no.
And which is, so then it really makes it hard when you've been socialized in this way and you're used to, like, one, not question authority, always saying yes, even when things are wrong. I'm thinking about it being back even in school when things are wrong. Your parents will be like, why are you misbehaving? Even when at that point it was the authority, the teacher who was in the wrong, they will still expect you to always maintain composure. And because they're older than you, or this person is like an authoritarian figure, so you can't say X, Y, Z. You have to respect them. You always have to say, like, yes, sir. And all of these things then feed into you, I think, then becoming an adult with no boundaries. And sometimes it's so difficult, because I always say that I remember myself as how I was, I would say my innate personality as a child, whereby, to be fair, they thought I was going to be a problematic child purely because if I didn't want to do something, I wasn't going to do it. I was also very vocal.
Oh, from childhood, yeah?
Yeah, from childhood.
Oh, wow.
But then I always say that as much as people don't want to admit it or accept it, especially because I was raised with my grandparents, it was always like, shut up. Why are you always talking? Why are you always... And that, I think that dampens your spirit.
It does.
That's why I'm vocal now, because as a child I wasn't allowed to express my voice.
I think a lot of us get it.
You see why I'm like this now?
Like Nana said, you get it when you become older. Because older people don't care about BS no more. They don't care about whose art is gold. They just feel like, you know what, I care less these days, because at the end of the day, man, I got issues. But not the art of not being able to say no is everything you've explained. It's how we were cultured. It's a very dishonest way of bringing people up. I keep saying to people, they'll be like, why not just tell your friend that you're really peace with them, you this with them, you that with them, you don't want to do that with them. It took me a lot before I could do that. I would do it in the third person, in an indirect way. Maybe put it on my WhatsApp status, that hopefully that the person will, it's true, the person will read it and know, is he talking to me? Yes, people think, it's a spoken. I have never been able to deal with that. My own younger brother, I told him off recently, no. And he was shocked. And I had to explain to him, I said, no, it's no, man, because I got bills to pay. You don't have the same bills like me. I had to be able to say no, because it's not saying no has cost me so much financially. I could have been different financially. Not saying no cost me, and not saying no still to my own immediate family at home is still costing me. You see where I'm coming from? So it's guilt trip. It's that dishonest way you were brought up, not to be able to say no to your elders. Very dishonest ways.
Can I ask you a relevant question with that, Jude? Because even though I'm reflecting on the art and the power and empowerment, which we can go into after, of saying no, is there ever a time, guys, where we shouldn't even contemplate saying no? Do you think there's a time where, let me switch it up. Is there a time where we feel like actually that shouldn't have been a no? Can you give any examples of like times where we shouldn't even contemplate, we should compromise, we should actually sacrifice self and suffer in that moment?
We do that every time. We do that every time in our relationship, in our marriages.
Okay.
We could say no. We think, okay, it's my duty as a man to do that. And then we suffer. Both parties suffer. The woman and the man suffer in our relationship.
How would the opposite person suffer? Tell me.
The
about
woman.
That.
For example, let me just go raw. For a woman,
Yeah, tell me.
if she says no to sex, is the man going to say I want it because this is my marriage, this is our marriage, I'm the head of the house?
Some will, but then some
Yeah, so that's to the detriment of the woman. She'll suffer. So for the man, if the man is saying there's no more affection again, I want to leave, and family and everybody is saying we don't divorce in our family. The Lord in heaven says we don't divorce and all that crap. You don't have the power again to say no, and then you suffer, and that's how both parties suffer. So you end up compromising to the detriment of your own health and to the detriment of the other party's health. Meanwhile, if you just want your separate, things will be great, but we don't have the crystal ball or magic book to see what's in the front of us to be able to say no. But I'll tell you the truth, when you say no, you're better for it. But I've said no so many times that I had to go back almost all, not on my feet groveling, but in my heart I was groveling to go back to the people, because you don't want people to judge you. You don't want to carry that weight of guilt. It's so much about how we grew up. Seriously, you're unable to tell your elder brother that this is how it is. So you find ways to smooth in their ego, not to be judged, and your parents as well, and church as well. Church is another place where they lie completely, and you're unable to say no. They guilt trip you in churches every day, in and out. So all of this become part of your own culture. I used to admire, let me just say, the white people. I'm like, wow, these guys, man, they're able to say no to that. The first time I was talking about sending money home to my mother, one of my friends then, Ben Kelson, he said, why would you do that? I'm like, she's my mother. It was like, no, man. My mother don't own nothing in my money, man. If she takes anything, she paying back.
But remember, culturally,
that's what I'm saying. Cultural.
Told their mom to, you know what?
No. That's what I'm saying. So they but what I'm trying to say is I'm not saying imitate them in everything. I'm just saying that part of saying no. They didn't need to come talk about it to be able to say no. They say no. Yeah. Our children were bringing up here now. They know how to say no.
But they do say no.
And we should encourage our children to say no, because, for example, your body is your body. There's no man out there or no woman out there who has the right to your body. You say no is no.
That's logistics. I mean, I have said to my son, for example, growing up, that even if I'm your mother and I deem myself to be more wiser, clearly, as you grow up into adulthood and now you're an adult, have your own individual perspective, because I don't know it all. And I said, imagine getting it wrong because I told you, rather than you getting it wrong in life because you followed your own spirit of discernment. So I've actually taught him, to my own detriment, to actually have your own thinking.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
He don't mess about. He don't agree with me. If he don't agree, say, Mom, I don't agree with you.
The power of no is very liberating.
and that in itself, right? But that in itself,
but I love that. I made sure he was.
It's you setting a different pattern, because he's hopefully going to raise up his children in the same way.
Hopefully, but it's different when you raise boys to girls. You know
I know.
But like I say again, sometimes I feel like because of how I present myself, it looks like everything I do is just secondary and I was just born a certain way. Many things about me I've had to nurture. I grew up in a very strict home environment, especially, Mum's Jamaican, I always said Dad's Dominican. My dad was super strict. He's very soft now, he's older. He's a panda bear. So even just the idea of me being this way, where did I get it from? Me. Because I don't know how, but I had to dig deep. And looking at the world around me, if I don't set a target and say, that is, like someone said, that's not my destiny today, no.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel away. Sometimes I might even feel the moment of intimidation of myself, depending on what it is. But I still learn that it's either I suffer two-facedly in silence, or you get the benefit of me suffering. And I can't.
For example,
I'm not going to shortchange
for example, take for instance what we are today. We're at the studio. I could have said no, and I should have said no. You see what I mean?
Okay.
But the reason I didn't say yes, I should have said no for my self-care and because I'm really tired. But the reason I couldn't say no is because this date we've had it penned down for a long time.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. So if I didn't attend, it'll become as if okay, he screwed everything up.
So is it that?
So, yes, because the whole plan to this day. That's the guilt trip I'm trying to.
Is this also? Yeah, I was just about to say, are you illustrating basically the point where I think Silver asks is a situation where
commitment.
You had to say yes when in actual fact, really. No would have been your natural answer, but you said yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because
I can get that, and I can understand that.
So
because there's so many. Because I also have this personality where if I commit myself to something,
that's it.
I'm a woman of my word, and that's something that I
Me
always.
too.
So that's it. Yes,
regardless of how I'm feeling, most times,
Exactly.
unless it's a matter of life and death,
yes,
I will show up and I will turn up.
That's
Exactly.
usually
Because
me,
I've turned up.
That's usually me, Nana.
Absolutely
That's
spot
such a
on.
good example you gave and what you expanded on. And let me say, I'm known to be solid too. My A's my A, my B's my B. However, there are that today I told Sleep I felt director of Common Sense podcast. I felt this aligned today. A bit off. This was hurting me, that was hurting me, stomachache. But it wasn't enough to say I'm not going to come. But there are times where, if an example, like again I say that spirit is driving me, I would have to say, guys, I can't make it, because there are those times where if you don't, I don't just mean,
and it's not just about you.
I don't just mean, I just don't feel like it. It have to be where maybe if I come, something will happen because my spirit is saying, don't go.
Don't go. Okay.
And it's not just.
And I would be happy to let you down. And not change a destiny.
It's not just about you two saying no. It's about the rest of us accepting accepting what you've said and move on with it and not hold on to. Oh,
if you said you weren't gonna come,
she caused disappointment.
That would have been a problem.
We've arranged everything. So it's about the people around us too. Take no as an answer from this person and respect that person.
I think we're talking about categories and it's within context. Because, for example, had you not been able to make it today, it'd have been unusual of you. So I don't think anyone here would have been like, oh my God.
Yeah,
it'd been like, okay, Nana, the show goes on, but we missed Jude.
Yeah.
It's possible, but what I'm saying is for the person saying no, they have the guilt trip. Did I just put a spanner in the works of everything we've been planning for months?
Yeah.
That guilt trip will make them drag their ass out. So you see where I'm coming from? And that's the same with your work and relationship. You're not feeling too well. Your boss is saying you're letting me down. And you should be saying no.
Well, let's say,
I'm not coming in.
Let's say I say to the camera,
even the government now has even said bosses should not be calling people after work. There's a time off. That's how bad it is. People don't accept that the government have to legislate for that. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Because people can just call you. Can you turn up for this shift on Sunday because Hannah didn't turn up? And you be like, I'm relying on you, Jude. Turn up.
Let me tell you.
You see where I'm coming from?
I am very good at saying no. So I will just say to the camera today on my side as I wrap this particular part for myself, the art and empowerment of saying no. Sometimes by saying yes, you yourself suffer in silence while the opposite person in question is having a joyous moment. And I think we got to balance when no is no and yes is yes, which means today is not my destiny. I won't be making it.
And it's also about not just no to other people's requests. It's also being disciplined by your own self. No to gluttony. Don't eat too much. Don't drink too much. Sometimes we indulge in this too much, and we suffer in our own selves by ourselves because of our actions.
That's what I mean. Like short-changing yourself.
Yeah.
This is the point I got to years ago, and even more as I grow. I look at it like it's not just saying no to be mean and to be I'm being cruel, but I was shortchanging myself by saying yes more often than I do now.
Than you do now.
So imagine shortchanging yourself. Think about shortchanging thyself. Yeah. And I've made Nana happy.
Yeah.
There are times where it's worth that compromise.
It is worth that, but there
are the odd times that it's worth that in life. Like, well, maybe I've given you £10, I've left with £2. Yeah. You don't have to know that if I feel like you need it more than me. But generally, for me, I feel empowered being able to say, I can't do that, not today. And I think the majority of people in my life and in my phone book don't necessarily like it. But I do actually love myself a lot more by being this way. So you are a bonus to liking me. I'm sorry.
Oh, great. That's true though.
And on that note, see you next time.